What's the worst text you've ever accidentally sent to the wrong person?
I asked my mail manager for a by mistake. I wanted to text my work BFF, "Hey, just got a surprise visit. Do you have a?" And he replied, "Sorry, I do not use them."
I was talking to a guy from Tinder and telling my best friend about him. I screenshotted something on his FB and sent it to him, instead of her, along with something along the lines of, "I am being a super creep, but I think he has a GF." About died, we still went on our date, it went great, and lo and behold he had a girlfriend lol.
I was texting with a guy the first had a thing with and my daughter's friend's mom at the same time, planning a sleepover. And I accidentally sent a to the mom instead of the guy.
I'm picking up the drugs and then I'll be there. Sent to my got out of work late, so I running late to a family function and I was trying to text my mom while driving. This was over 10 years ago and I don't ever do it anymore. I was stopping at the pharmacy to get my grandpa's and my mom's medicine since it was on the way, but I always shorten it to getting the drugs. And since I was driving I accidentally sent it to my boss instead of my mommy. Shockingly, I had a surprise random drug check my next shift. I passed with flying colors.
I was getting back into dating using a dating app. Had drinks and dinner with 2 different men a few days apart. I was scheduled for a medical procedure a couple of days after that and had mentioned it as I couldn't meet up for a week or so after the initial dates. A huge bouquet of flowers was delivered to the hospital from one of them, totally unexpected. Their first name started with the same 2 letters and I texted the wrong one to say thank you, how I'd enjoyed the date and included a picture of the flowers. I did not hear back from him.
My granddaughter's boyfriend had texted a smartass remark to me when I questioned him about something. I screenshotted it to send to her mother and accidentally texted it back to him, saying, "Look what this little just sent to."
I sent a message intended for a friend saying I was going to break up with my boyfriend while on the phone to said boyfriend. Got confused and sent it to him instead. That was awkward AF.
Once I accidentally texted my mom about how crazy my mom is. That didn't go awesomely, but it was nothing like when my sister accidentally sexted my niece. That was a masterpiece.
A coworker and I had the same job at one point. She got promoted, so I took on her tasks until they could hire her replacement. I asked her a question regarding her now old job and she basically blew me off. I thought I sent an IM to another coworker saying something like, "I'm so FC King done with name. IDK why she can't help me with this question. She just got promoted a week ago, so I know she has the guessed it." I sent it to her. She responded with, "Did you mean to send this to me?" And my heart just sank. I went over to her desk and apologized and said I was stressed out from taking on both jobs, and she said it's fine, we all get that way sometimes, but things were awkward between us ever since. I still feel bad and this happened years ago.
Our vet, who's a guy, was taking care of our husky who had cancer. She had just gotten out of surgery, and I was heading up to see her. I texted him, "Want some coffee?" since I was running to Starbucks, but autocorrect changed it to coochie, and I didn't notice until his reply. I wanted to die.
So I used to work for a cell phone carrier and my boss was awful. My boss stole one of my sales again and I blew up. I vent to my dad about everything and I texted him a huge paragraph of why I hated my boss and how ready to quit I was. I accidentally sent it to my boss who was in the same room. Somehow I didn't get fired and he kinda straightened up with me.
If Slack, I have no idea how this happened, but I had the Slack app on my phone. I measured myself for a bridesmaid dress and wrote down the measurements in the Apple Notes app to order a dress later. Like, hips 30 inches, breast 34 inches, waist 36 inches, etc. Well, apparently I also pasted my body measurements to my work's team chat on Slack and hit send. Like 20 people were on this chat. The worst part is I had no idea for days. I was fairly new to the job at the time. When I scrolled back in the chat to find something else, I saw it and almost passed out. Some people had reacted with the emoji, but no one even DM'd me on the side. Seriously, I wanted to die.
My boss had had a big night and came into work still from the night before. I could smell the booze. I meant to text my husband, "I think my boss is," but I texted my boss by mistake. I thought for sure I was going to be fired. I had only been there a few months. A few minutes later I see him, and at this point I'm laughing because what else was I going to do? He asks me what's so funny. So I tell him, I accidentally texted something to you that was intended for my without missing a beat. He pulls his phone out, deletes the text and says, all set. At first I was relieved. Then I realized that he probably thought I was sexting my husband. Grimace.
In college I accidentally sent a text to a group chat about how I didn't want to hang out with certain people because they smelled really bad and that person was in that text group. Lol, to be fair, they stunk so badly they cleared out rooms.
Let me preface this by saying I had been drinking. I had also been dumped by my boyfriend 2 months prior, so my self-esteem had taken a hit. Because of this, I had lost some weight and was looking pretty good. Had a new haircut and clothes. So I took a picture of myself in a new outfit and sent it to my best friend, saying, someone is going to get some this weekend. I accidentally sent it to the physician I work with because he had texted me about a patient earlier. I wanted to die of shame. He never said a word about it.
I sent a graphic sext to my best friend instead of my boyfriend. I was 15. It was 2005. Cricket open-faced cell phone. Text threads weren't a thing, so it was much easier to send a text to the wrong person. After having a heart attack, I followed up with something like, some random screen name just texted me that. Have you gotten anything?
I just recently sent my conservative Christian mother-in-law a joke about putting the prostate in dude buttholes cause he meant for them to make sweet love woman facepalming medium skin tone.
I'ma show up to your house. Stop playing. Yeah. That was meant for my ex. Toxic situation lol. Ended up texting it to someone who had just texted me to ask me out on a date.
I hope I didn't get pregnant last night. Sent to my pregnant female boss. Intended for my friend with the same first name. Woman facepalming light skin tone. Woman facepalming light skin tone. Woman facepalming light skin tone.
I have a field-based job, but during COVID, I was grounded for a few months. On my first trip back, I was texting my husband and the local co-worker I was working with at the same time. When traveling before, I would send my husband provocative pictures, and I was excited to do this again. I ended up sending my co-worker a lingerie pic. I didn't notice until I got the, "Was this meant for me?" text back. I was mortified. Thank goodness I was in my underwear and not. I apologized profusely and explained what happened, but he was cool about it. We had a good laugh about it and things remained the same between us.
I gave a guy my number on a night out several years ago. I wasn't overly interested, but he seemed nice enough. He texted the following day. I sent a message to my friend about that prat from last night messaging. It did not go to my friend. Poor guy. He took it well, though. Know the other side of that. I got a text from my ex during our relationship that he was supposed to send to the woman he was cheating on me with. That was.
I accidentally sent a snap of my infected ostomy to a guy the first was going to go on a date with the following weekend instead of to my sister who is a nurse. He never followed up and I didn't blame him. No telling if he even knew what he was looking at.
Elmo, what a graceful answer to XD.
A surprise visit, ahahaha.
Tears of joy, tears of joy, tears of joy. Think I laughed too hard.
Well, you dodged a of a bullet.
This would be one of my worst nightmares.
Ha 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 ha, rolling on the floor laughing. Oh, I would have taken a picture of the pharmacy and sent a follow-up like, "You can test me ISTG, I'm just picking up meds for pop, only one test?" Or did they try multiple times?
Oh, this is so painful to read.
But did it work out with the flower sender? Also, major kudos to him BC, that's really sweet of him.
You are the grandmother I wish I had.
I'm cackling at this. Poor dude is on the phone wondering what's going on.
I've done this exact same thing. Holy it was embarrassing, but I still broke up with him and it was the right decision.
Your poor niece. Your poor sister. But is that hilarious lol.
I did that once only. I called her thinking it was my sister and the minute she picked up I just went straight into my rant. After 10 minutes of venting I hear my mom say, "Did you mean to call your siblings?"
A coworker taught me a rule I live by: never gripe about someone by the same form of communication you're talking to them in. I try to keep my complaining to a minimum, but I think it's a good rule. We all got events sometimes.
She shouldn't have blown you off then.
IDKY, but this one is the only one that got me really giggling. It's just so random, so horrifying to realize delayed by random scroll. To see the little marks, tears of joy, and the fact that they were your body measurements. And what can you do? Bring it up to the group and make it weirder?
Oh, how did they react?
I feel like not acknowledging it makes it worse somehow.
This reminds me of my most embarrassing moment in history. It's around 2008, I'm 15 and don't have my own phone. I'm sexually active and away from my boyfriend for the summer while I visit my dad. My dad gives me his phone for most of the day so I can call my friends and my boyfriend and whatnot. Took a bunch of pics with a mega sunburn to text to my boyfriend. Dad comes and needs his phone and I delete all the stuff. Dad flips open his Motorola Razr and it's open to a pic of my sunburned. Dad says, "EWWWWW. What is this? Who put this old lady on my phone?" Crickets. We're making eye contact. I'm dying internally. He knows. Well, it's my sunburn. I say, "Dad, I'm sorry. I was texting that picture to my older sister who has a phone and is here with us. Because I wanted to have a picture of this," and my dad goes, "Oh good. For a second I thought you were brave enough to send that to a boy, and that would be so weird for you to do because that's such a horrible picture. Your looks like it's 80 years holds it up for the family to see, EWWWWW. I was so embarrassed and I still laugh about it to this day. Like, in hindsight, he definitely purposely embarrassed me because he totally knew I sent that to my boyfriend that I couldn't stop talking about and was just so relieved that my dad bought the lie.